Bates stood in the doorway of the bedroom, watching Todd sit on the edge of the bed with his head in his hands. The room was quiet except for the sound of Will's feeding pump humming faintly down the hall. Todd, Bates said softly, "Get up." Todd didn't move. Bate walked closer. "Will is wondering why you don't hang out with him like before." Todd swallowed hard and wiped his face with both hands. "I feel guilty," he said. "Every time I see him, I think about what my mom, his grandmother, did to him. I keep thinking I should have known, I should have stopped it." Bate sat beside him. "Todd, once he told you you helped him," she said. "We didn't know at the time. He was learning the AAC device back then too. He couldn't explain it the way he can now." Todd shook his head. "But my dad saw it, my brother saw parts of it, and I didn't. I was his father, Bate. I was supposed to protect him." Bate reached for his hand. "You did protect him," she said. "Maybe not back then because you didn't know, but now you believe him, you changed things, you stood up to your parents, you told your dad to leave, we'll seize that." Todd looked toward the hallway. "He forgave me too fast," he whispered. "I don't deserve that." Bates' voice stayed calm but firm. "That's not your choice, that's Will's, and right now your son doesn't need you hiding in here punishing yourself, he needs his dad." Todd's eyes filled again. "He asked for me." Bate nodded. Henry said Will kept looking toward the hallway, then he typed, "Where is Dad?" That broke Todd. He covered his face and cried quietly. Bate rubbed his back. "Go to him, don't make him think he lost you too." Todd took a shaky breath, stood up and walked down the hall. In the living room, Will sat in his power chair with his AAC tablet on the mount in front of him. Henry was on the couch pretending to watch TV, but his eyes kept moving between Will and the hallway. When Todd stepped into the room, Will looked up. Todd tried to smile, but it didn't reach his face. "Hey buddy," Todd said softly. Will stared at him for a moment, then looked down and typed. The tablet spoke. "You been avoiding me." Todd froze. Henry looked down at the floor. Bates stayed in the hallway, giving them space. Todd walked closer and knelt beside Will's chair. "Yeah," Todd admitted, "I have." Will typed again. "Why?" Todd's mouth trembled. "Because I'm ashamed," he said. "I keep thinking about what Grandma Linda did to you and I hate myself for not knowing." Will's fingers hovered over the screen, his face tightened but he didn't look away. Todd continued, "I know you told me you forgive me, but I don't know how to forgive myself." Will typed slowly. "Dad." Todd looked at him. The tablet spoke again. "I needed you after, not back then, you hear now." Todd closed his eyes as tears rolled down his face. Will typed again. "Don't leave me because you feel bad." Todd broke. He leaned forward and gently hugged Will, careful of the chair, the pump, and the tablet mount. "I'm sorry," Todd whispered. "I'm so sorry, son." Will leaned into him as much as his body allowed. Henry wiped his eyes from the couch. Bates stood in the doorway with her hand over her mouth. After a few seconds, Will typed with one hand. "Movie." Todd let out a small laugh through his tears. "Yeah," he said, "movie." Will typed again. "You pick, but no sad movie." Todd smiled for real this time. "No sad movie," he promised. Henry sat up. "Can I pick snacks?" Will looked at him and typed. "You always pick bad snacks." Henry gasped, "Wow, rude." Todd laughed again, and for the first time all day, the room felt a little lighter. Bate walked in and sat on the couch. Todd stayed beside Will, one hand resting on his son's arm. He was still guilty, he was still hurting. But Will was right. He couldn't disappear into shame. His son needed him now. Henry stood near the doorway, rubbing the back of his neck. "I was going to do a fart joke like I always do," Henry said quietly, "but tonight isn't the night." Will looked at him from the hospital bed. For a second he didn't type anything. Then he slowly lifted his hand and put his middle finger up. Henry blinked. Then his face fell. "Will, my bad," Henry said fast, "not a good time." Will's eyes were still red from crying. His breathing was uneven and the tablet was still plugged into the charger beside the bed. Todd looked at Henry, not angry, just tired. "Henry," Todd said softly, "he's overwhelmed." Henry nodded. "I know, I'm sorry." Will lowered his hand and typed slowly. "I can't do jokes right now." Henry nodded again. "I get it." Will typed. I know you trying, but I feel gross, scared, tired, and my room is ruined. Henry's eyes filled with tears. I know, he whispered, I don't know how to help. Will stared at him for a moment, then typed. Just be normal but quiet. Henry sniffled, I can try. Will typed again. That means no fart jokes. Henry gave a tiny nod, no fart jokes. Will looked at him. And no snoring on my floor tonight. Henry wiped his face, okay, I'll sleep outside the door. Bate shook her head softly, Henry, you need sleep too. Henry looked at her, I can sleep later. Will typed. You are 12, stop acting like a security guard. Henry almost smiled, you got kidnapped tonight, I think security guard is fair. Will looked away, tears starting again. The room went quiet. Henry realized what he said and immediately looked guilty. Will, I'm sorry, I didn't mean. Will typed with shaking fingers. I know. Todd moved closer and placed his hand gently over Will's. We're all scared, Todd said, but we're safe right now. Will looked at him. Right now isn't enough. Todd nodded. You're right, so tomorrow we start making more than right now. Will typed. New place. Yes. New room. Yes. Extra chargers. Henry raised his hand a little. I'll be in charge of charger inventory. Will glared at him. Henry quickly added quietly, I'll do it quietly. Bate let out a soft, tired laugh. Will leaned back against the pillow, exhausted. Then he typed one more thing. Henry. Henry stepped closer, yeah. Will looked at him. I know you love me. Henry's face crumbled. Yeah, he whispered, I do. Will typed slowly. I love you too, but tonight I am mad at the world. Henry nodded, crying now. That's okay. Will closed his eyes. And Linda. Todd's voice turned firm. Especially Linda. Will opened his eyes halfway. Not Grandma. Bate answered softly, not Grandma. Henry nodded, just Linda. Todd stayed beside Will's bed, holding his hand while the tablet charged. Henry sat quietly by the door, no jokes, no noise, just there. And for once, nobody tried to make the night feel lighter than it was. They just stayed with Will in the dark feeling until sleep finally started to pull at him. Everything in one like a straw. No more Linda. Bates stood in the doorway of the bedroom, watching Todd sit on the edge of the bed with his head in his hands. The house was quiet, but it didn't feel peaceful. Down the hall, Will was in the living room in his power chair, his AAC tablet mounted in front of him. He kept looking toward the hallway, waiting for his dad. Bate crossed her arms. Todd, she said softly, get up. Todd didn't move. Bate walked closer. Will is wondering why you don't hang out with him like before. Todd rubbed his face with both hands. I feel guilty, he said, his voice breaking, for what my mom, his grandmother, did to him. Every time I see him, I think about how I didn't help him. Bate sat beside him. Todd, once he told you you did help, she said. We didn't know at the time. He was learning the AAC device back then too. He couldn't tell us everything the way he can now. Todd shook his head. But I should have known. Bate took his hand. You know now, she said, and right now he needs you, not your guilt, you. Todd looked toward the hallway. He asked for me. Bate nodded. Henry said Will kept typing, where is Dad? Todd's face crumbled. Bate squeezed his hand, don't make him feel like he lost you too. Todd stood up slowly and walked down the hall. In the living room, Will looked up when Todd entered. Henry sat on the couch, pretending to watch TV, but he was clearly listening. Todd tried to smile. Hey buddy. Will stared at him for a few seconds, then typed. You been avoiding me. Todd swallowed. Yeah, he admitted, I have. Will typed again. Why? Todd knelt beside his chair. Because I feel guilty, Todd said. Because Grandma Linda hurt you and Grandpa Rod saw things and never told me. I keep thinking I should have protected you sooner. Will's eyes filled with tears. He typed slowly. Dad, I lost 3 grandparents out of 4 this week. I can't lose you too. Todd froze. Will kept typing. Grandma Linda still thinks I'm making my CP up. Grandpa Rod never told you. Grandpa Dave is dead and Grandma Fran lives too far away. Bate covered her mouth. Will's hands shook as he typed more. I told you about Grandma Linda not for you to hide, but for me to stop holding on to a better relationship with her that will never come. Todd's face dropped. Will looked directly at him. I'm trying to move on, but you don't look at me the same anymore, Dad. Todd whispered Will. Will didn't stop. I wish if I knew this was our new dynamic, then I wish I never told you guys. The words hit Todd hard. Will typed one last line. I'm done, I'm going in my room. Will reached for the controls on his power chair, but Todd quickly moved in front of him, not blocking him completely, just begging him not to leave with those words hanging between them. Will, wait. Will didn't look at him. Todd crouched lower. You're right, Todd said. You didn't tell me so I could disappear. You told me because you trusted me, and I made it about my guilt. Will's lip trembled. Todd wiped his face. I don't look at you different because of what happened. I look at you and I hate that you had to carry it, but you are still my son, you are still Will. Will stared down at the tablet. Todd continued, you're the same kid who makes me watch movies I don't even like. The same kid who gives Henry attitude. The same kid who fights me on every medical thing and then acts like it was his idea later. Henry let out a tiny laugh through tears. Will glanced at him, then back at Todd. Todd's voice softened. You lost a lot this week. You lost the idea of Grandma Linda. You lost trust in Grandpa Rod. You were reminded Grandpa Dave is gone, and Grandma Fran is too far away to just show up. Todd took Will's hand carefully. But you are not losing me. Will cried harder. Todd asked softly, can I hug you? Will waited, then gave a small nod. Todd hugged him gently, careful of the chair, the pump, and the tablet mount. I'm sorry, buddy, Todd whispered. You should never have had to worry about losing me too. Will cried into him. After a while, Will typed again. Dad, that was a lot, but you needed to hear it though. Todd nodded. You're right, I did need to hear it. Will typed. I was scared you would be mad. I'm not mad at you, Todd said. I'm mad at myself. I'm mad at Linda. I'm mad at Dad for seeing things and staying quiet, but not you, never you. Will typed again. You looked like you wanted me to stop talking. Todd closed his eyes. I know, I wasn't trying to shut you down. I just didn't know how to handle hearing how much you lost. Will looked at him. I already lost it, you just heard it. Todd went quiet. Bates' eyes filled again. Todd nodded slowly. Yeah, you're right, you already lived it, I only had to hear it. Will typed. I don't want sorry all night. Todd gave a sad smile. Okay, what do you want? Will looked at him. My dad back. Todd's face crumpled, but this time he didn't fall apart. I'm right here, he said, and I'm staying right here. Will typed. Then act normal. Henry leaned forward. Does normal mean I still get insulted? Will typed. Yes. Henry nodded. Good, I was worried. Bate laughed softly through tears. Todd pulled a chair beside Will's power chair. Okay, Todd said. Normal movie night, bad snacks, Henry getting roasted, me sitting beside you. Will typed. And no sad dad face. Todd pointed at himself. This is just my face. Will typed. Then fix it. Henry burst out laughing. Todd smiled for real this time. There he is. For a little while the house felt lighter. Then Linda drove by. Todd was outside near the driveway when Linda slowed her car and rolled down the window. Todd, Linda called out. Todd froze. Linda leaned toward the window. You need better. Todd's face hardened. Better than what? Linda looked toward the house. Better than being trapped in that house all day, better than letting that boy control your life. Inside, Will was near the window. He saw the car and went pale. Bate noticed immediately. Will. Will typed. Mom closed the curtain. Bate closed it. Outside, Todd stepped closer to the curb. Do not call him that boy. Linda rolled her eyes. Todd, come on, he is almost 30, he still acts like a child. Todd's hands curled into fists. No, Todd said, he has cerebral palsy, he uses an AAC device, he uses a power chair, he needs help because his body makes life harder, that does not make him a child. Linda scoffed, I know when someone is being bobbied. Todd shook his head. You didn't raise Will, he said, and thank God for that. Linda's face twisted. I'm still your mother. Todd nodded slowly. And I'm still his father. Linda glared at him. Todd pointed down the street. Leave, if you come near this house again to harass my son, I'm calling the police. Linda looked shocked. You would call the police on your own mother. Todd didn't blink. For my son, yes. Linda rolled up the window and drove off. Todd stood in the driveway for a few seconds, breathing hard, then he went back inside. Will was facing the closed curtain. Henry stood beside him. Will typed without looking at Todd. What did she say? Yeah. Todd swallowed. Nothing that matters. Will turned his head slightly. Dad. Todd knelt beside him. She said I needed better. Will blinked hard. Better than me. Todd shook his head. No, she meant that, but she was wrong. Will's face tightened. Todd put his hand on the armrest. You are not a burden. I don't need better than you. I need to be better for you. Will's eyes filled again. She still thinks I'm fake. Todd nodded sadly. I know. Will typed. I wanted her to love me. Todd whispered, I know, buddy. Will looked down. But she loves the version of me she made up. Todd nodded. And that version isn't real. The real you is here, and the real you deserves people who see you. Will typed. Do you see me? Todd answered immediately. Yes, I see you, Will. Will started crying. Todd hugged him again. I'm not leaving, Todd whispered. Not because of guilt, not because of Linda, not because this is hard, I'm your dad. That night, everyone eventually went to sleep. The house became still. Todd and Bate were asleep in their room. Henry was asleep in his. Will was asleep in his bed, his AAC tablet resting on the small table beside him. Then the front door opened. Linda stepped inside. Behind her was a large man named Matt Craver. Linda whispered, that's his room. Matt looked uneasy. Linda, are you sure about this? Linda glared at him. Just do what I said, grab the man with the tablet and put him in the van. They moved down the hallway. Will was asleep. Linda pointed at him. Him. Matt picked up Will's AAC tablet first and handed it to Linda. Linda looked at it with disgust. He won't need this. Matt lifted Will from the bed. Will stirred but didn't wake fully. Linda whispered sharply, don't wake him, hurry. Matt carried Will through the hallway and out the front door. They placed him in the back of the van. The AAC tablet slipped from Linda's hand near the front door, but she didn't notice. The van pulled away into the dark. A few minutes later, Will woke up. At first, he didn't understand where he was. The ceiling was different. The air smelled wrong. The van hit a bump. Will's eyes widened. He tried to reach for his tablet. It wasn't there. Panic rose in his chest. Linda turned around from the front seat. Well, she said coldly, good, maybe now you'll listen. Will tried to speak, but no words came out. Linda shook her head. See, this is exactly the problem. Everyone treats you like you're helpless. Will trembled. Linda looked forward again. You are done ruining my family. Later, Linda handed Matt Will's passport. Here, she said, his passport, go anywhere, Matt, drop him in a group home anywhere, I don't care where. Matt stared at the passport. Linda, this doesn't feel right. Linda snapped, do not tell me where you take him, just call me when the job is done. Matt looked back at Will, who was awake, scared, and unable to speak. You want me to just leave him somewhere? Linda's face stayed hard. Yes, somewhere Todd can't find him. Will cried silently. Linda drove away. Matt sat in the van for a while, staring at the steering wheel. Then he pulled into a gas station parking lot under a streetlight. He looked back at Will. I don't know what she told me, Matt said quietly, but this is kidnapping, isn't it? Will's eyes filled again. Matt cursed under his breath and called 911. My name is Matt Craver, he said. I have a disabled man in my van. His grandmother told me to take him and drop him somewhere. I'm at the gas station on Route 9. He needs help. Back at the house, Todd woke up with a terrible feeling in his chest. He ran to Will's room. The bed was empty. Will. No answer. Bate came running, what's wrong? Todd checked the bathroom, the kitchen, the living room. Then he saw the front door cracked open. On the floor near the door was Will's AAC tablet. Todd picked it up with shaking hands. Bates screamed. No, 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 no. Henry stumbled from his room. Dad. Todd looked toward the street. Linda. Bate called 911, crying but forcing herself to speak clearly. My son has cerebral palsy. He uses a power wheelchair. He cannot speak without his AAC tablet. He has a feeding tube. His grandmother took him. Todd held the tablet against his chest. She took my son. Police found Matt's van in the gas station parking lot. Todd ran toward it as soon as they arrived. Will. The van doors opened. Will saw Todd and broke down. Todd climbed inside and grabbed his hand. I'm here, Todd cried. I'm here, buddy. Bate came running with the AAC tablet. I have it, she cried. Will, I have your tablet. She placed it in front of him. Will's fingers shook as he typed. She tried to throw me away. Todd's face crumbled. No, Todd said she tried, but she failed. Will sobbed. Todd held his hand tighter. You are not going anywhere, you are coming home with me. Matt stood near the van, ashamed. Sir, I'm sorry, Matt said. She told me. Todd turned on him. My mom is crazy, get out of my face. Matt stepped back. I didn't know she took him from his house. She told me the family was done with him. Todd shouted, done with him, that is my son. Will typed. Dad. Todd turned immediately. Will looked exhausted. I want to go home. Todd softened. I know, buddy, we're going home. Then Linda arrived near the ambulance bay, yelling as officers tried to keep her back. That kid needs to be in an asylum, Linda screamed. Will flinched hard. Todd blocked Will's view. Get this woman away from my family. Linda pointed toward Will. I paid that guy $7 million to get you gone, but he fooled that guy as well. The whole area went quiet. Todd turned slowly. You paid him what? Linda's face twisted. I did what I had to do. You were never going to be free as long as he was there. Bate grabbed Todd's arm before he could step closer. Todd, don't give her what she wants. Todd turned back to Will. Will was sobbing again. He typed. She said get me gone. Todd climbed back beside him. You are not gone, you are here, I'm here, Mom is here, Henry is here. Will typed. She called me that kid. Bates' voice hardened. You are not that kid, you are Will, you are our son. Henry cried near the ambulance doors. She's not family. Linda shouted, I am your grandmother. Henry yelled back, no you're not. Will typed through tears. Not grandma. Todd nodded. Not grandma, Linda. Todd looked at the officer. She violated Will's restraining order, Todd said, and this was the second time, the second and last time. The officer nodded. We'll document everything. Bate looked at Todd, then at Will and Henry. Since it's out now, because of this, we are moving. Henry nodded immediately. Okay. Todd looked at him. You sure? Henry wiped his face. Yeah, I don't care about the house, I care about Will being safe. Will typed slowly. I don't care either, I just want to feel safe in my own home, that's all. His eyes filled again. I need a change and sleep. Todd held his hand. Then that's what we're going to do, a new place, new locks, new cameras, no Linda. The paramedic loaded Will into the ambulance. Todd climbed in beside him. Will sobbed the whole ride. The paramedic checked the monitor and said gently, 3 more minutes, we're almost there. Todd nodded. Thanks. Will typed. I want homes. Todd leaned closer. I know, buddies. Will typed. Not that house. Todd nodded. Not that house forever, we'll figure out somewhere safe tonight, but you won't be forced back into a place that feels unsafe. Will typed. She came in my room. Todd's jaw tightened. I know. I was sleeping. I know, son. My room not safe. Todd's eyes filled. We'll make sure you have a safe room again, new place, new locks, cameras, whatever it takes. Will typed. I need sleep but I scared. Todd said then I'll stay awake for you. Will blinked. Todd wiped his face. You sleep, I'll watch the door. Will typed one more thing. Don't let Linda win. Todd leaned close. She already lost. Then Todd held Will's hand tighter. Will, he said softly, I won't hide from you tomorrow because of this, you got my word. Will looked at him with tear-filled eyes. Todd continued, I messed up before, I let guilt make me quiet, I let shame make me step back, but not this time. Will typed, even if you feel bad. Todd nodded. Even if I feel bad, even if I'm angry, even if I'm scared, I will not make you wonder where your dad went. Will typed, no guilty stranger. Todd gave a sad smile. No guilty stranger. Just dad. Todd kissed his forehead. Just dad. At the hospital, the doctor checked Will over. Will is physically okay, the doctor said. No major injuries, his tube site looks fine, but emotionally this is trauma from tonight. Will was still crying on the hospital bed. He typed fast. Can I go home? Then he hit the bed rail hard. Fuck you, Linda. His hand hit the rail again as he sobbed. Todd gently caught his hand. Hey, don't hurt your hand, be mad, you can be mad, but don't give her your hand too. Bate moved closer. She doesn't get to take more from you. Will typed. The room, my room where I can relax. Todd held the tablet steady. Will kept typing. She told him to take me from there. Bate covered her mouth. Will's breathing hitched. Now my room isn't my room anymore. Todd whispered, oh Will. Will hit the bed rail again, softer this time. That was my safe place. Todd didn't say sorry again, he knew Will was tired of sorry. So he said, then we don't force you back into that room. Will looked at him. Todd nodded firmly. Not tonight, not tomorrow if you're not ready, we'll get your stuff but you don't have to sleep there. Will typed. I want a new room. Todd nodded. You'll get one. One she never saw. Yes. One she never touched. Yes. One where the door locks. Todd thought for a second then said, we'll figure out a safe lock, something you can control and we can still help in an emergency. Will typed. I want control. Todd nodded. You deserve control. Then Will tried to type again, but the AAC tablet screen suddenly went black. Will froze. Todd looked down. What happened? Will pressed the power button again and again. Nothing. Will's breathing started shaking. The Todd let die, Will said in a choppy, strained way. Todd's eyes widened. Okay, buddy, we'll charge it. Will forced the words out, broken and frustrated. Fuck why life always goes too good to bad. Then he sobbed again. Todd opened the tablet bag. Where's the charger? Henry checked every pocket. His face dropped. Dad, your tablet charger isn't in your bag. Will panicked. Bate touched his shoulder. Will, breathe, we're not leaving you without a voice. Will shook his head. No. Todd looked at the nurse. Do you have a USB-C charger, please? The nurse hurried out and came back with one. Todd plugged the tablet in. For a few seconds nothing happened. Will's breathing got faster. Then the charging symbol appeared. Bate let out a shaky breath. There it is. The tablet powered back on a minute later. Will typed slowly. I hate when my voice dies. Todd nodded. I know. Will typed. Tonight I need it more. Bate wiped her tears. Then we'll make sure it never happens again. Extra chargers, one in every bag, one in the van, one by your bed, one in my purse. Henry said, and one taped to Dad's forehead. Todd looked at him. Not helpful. Will typed weakly. A little helpful. Todd laughed softly through tears. A little later Will looked down at himself, embarrassed. He typed slowly. Can I get clean at least? Todd's face dropped. Oh buddy, I forgot, I'm sorry. Will looked away. I've been like this since she took me. Todd closed his eyes, guilt hitting him hard, but he didn't hide. You're right, I should have checked sooner. Bates said quietly, Todd, don't spiral, help him. Todd nodded. Yeah, you're right. He asked the nurse for wipes, gloves, and a clean brief. The nurse brought everything and closed the curtain. Henry turned around near the door. I'll guard outside, he said softly. Will typed. No jokes. Henry nodded. No jokes. Todd helped Will get clean slowly, telling him every step before doing it. I'm lifting the blanket now. I'm going to help roll you a little. Tell me if anything hurts. Bate held Will's hand the whole time. When Todd finished, he fixed the blanket around Will. All clean, Todd said gently. Will stared at the ceiling. Then he typed, "Thank you." Todd swallowed hard. "You never have to thank me for taking care of you." Will looked at him. "Tonight I do." Todd nodded. "Okay, you're welcome." Will typed, "I feel a little less gross." Bate brushed his hair back. "Good." Henry opened the door slightly. "Can I turn around?" Will typed, "Yes, ugly crier." Henry turned around, his face still red. "I accept that title." Then Henry rubbed the back of his neck. "I was going to do a fart joke like I always do," Henry said quietly, "but tonight isn't the night." Will stared at him. Then he slowly lifted his hand and put his middle finger up. Henry's face fell. "Will, my bad, not a good time." Will lowered his hand and typed, "I can't do jokes right now." Henry nodded. "I get it." Will typed, "I know you trying, but I feel gross, scared, tired, and my room is ruined." Henry's eyes filled. "I know I don't know how to help." Will stared at him, then typed, "Just be normal but quiet." Henry sniffled. "I can try." Will typed, "That means no fart jokes." Henry nodded. "No fart jokes." Will typed, "And no snoring on my floor tonight." Henry wiped his face. "Okay, I'll sleep outside the door." Bate shook her head softly. "Henry, you need sleep too." Henry looked at her. "I can sleep later." Will typed, "You are 12, stop acting like a security guard." Henry almost smiled. "You got taken tonight, I think security guard is fair." Will looked away, tears starting again. Henry immediately realized what he said. "Will, I'm sorry, I didn't mean." Will typed with shaking fingers. "I know." Todd moved closer and placed his hand over Will's. "We're all scared," Todd said, "but we're safe right now." Will looked at him. "Right now isn't enough." Todd nodded. "You're right, so tomorrow we start making more than right now." Will typed, "New place." "Yes." "New room." "Yes." "Extra chargers." Henry raised his hand. "I'll be in charge of charger inventory." Will glared at him. Henry quickly added quietly, "I'll do it quietly." Bate let out a tired laugh. Will leaned back against the pillow, exhausted. Then he typed one more thing. "Henry." Henry stepped closer. "Yes." Will looked at him. "I know you love me." Henry's face crumbled. "Yeah," he whispered, "I do." Will typed slowly. "I love you too, but tonight I am mad at the world." Henry nodded, crying. "That's okay." Will closed his eyes. Then he typed one last thing. "And Linda." Todd's voice became firm. "Especially Linda." Will opened his eyes halfway. "Not Grandma." Bate answered softly, "Not Grandma." Henry nodded. "Just Linda." Todd sat beside Will's bed, holding his hand while the AAC tablet charged. Bate stayed on his other side. Henry sat quietly near the door, no jokes, no noise, just there. Nobody tried to make the night feel lighter than it was. Will had lost the feeling of safety in his room. He had lost the idea of Linda ever loving him the way he deserved. But he had not lost Todd. He had not lost Bate. He had not lost Henry. And when Will finally started to fall asleep, Todd stayed exactly where Will could see him. No hiding. No guilty stranger. Just Dad.